Let's discuss the Sumifs function. This is new to Excel 2007. Previously we had the Sumif function without the S, and that would only take one set of criteria, whereas Sumifs takes more than one set of criteria. The first thing I want to discuss is the syntax. The sum range is the range that you wish to sum. The criteria range is the range holding the criteria, and there can be more than one of those. And thirdly, we have the criterion. I think an example would show this better. Now here we have the example where we have range 1 and range 2 and an amount. Over here I'm showing you the formula that we might use to calculate where we have a 1 in range 1 and an A in range 2. And this is the formula. Let's make that big. Well, I've expressed these as addresses, and you can see that it's a little confusing. I've said E7 to E11. That's what we're wanting to sum up, and there's E7 to 11. And then we have the criteria range C7 to C11, and I'm looking for a 1. And the address D7 to D11, and I'm looking for an A. Now, if we can, instead of putting an A in, for example, we can actually use an address. So instead of putting in this literal A here, we can actually use H7. So here's the same formula, but instead of using a 1 there and an A there, we are using G7 there and H7 there. Like for example, we could have an input area where we could have A. Over here, there's our input area, 1 and A. The actual formula here says Sumifs and E7 to E11, C7 to C11, and I'm looking for whatever is in G8, which is a 1. And then in D7 to D11, I'm looking for an A, because there's an A in H8. And my result is 11. I only have one occurrence of that combination. Now, we could substitute instead of, see how if we use range names, it actually will be a lot clearer. Let's get this on the screen. If we used range names and I said Sumifs amount range 1 G11, range 2 H11, so make it a lot clearer. So I'm looking for the result for the 3B combination, and I've got 33. So there's 3, there's B, there's 33. Now these ranges I can illustrate by pulling down our name box, and here's your amount range. Here's your range 1 and here's range 2. So I've used range names in those formula, and I just have one occurrence of 3B, which is there, and I get 33. If I use the same formula, if I copy that formula down, you'll see that the G11, H11 change, but of course the named ranges do not change because their addresses are absolute. So here we see that change to G12 and H12. I don't know if you can see that small writing. So my combination 2A occurs twice. 2A here, which is 22, and 2A here, which is 55. and we're all accountants, we can add 22 and 55 and make 77. But of course, if there were 137 instances of 2a in this, and this was 30,000 lines long, it might be a little more difficult than seeing this quite obvious example. So let's close this and go on to a next, more comprehensive example. And this second example will show how you can analyze the trial balance by department and natural account. So we have two criteria here, the department and the natural account. I have here put the department number along the top, the natural account down the side, and here is my trial balance. When I look at a formula, you'll see that in turning up this sheet, we can see this example has a range of departments across the top and natural accounts down the side. When I look at my ranges, here's my amount, here's my department range, which is here, and my natural account, which is this column here. So when I'm looking here, I'm looking for that department 100, and I'm looking for account 4510. So you see up here it's the same as this formula here. So this formula here shows Sumifs, the range, add up the amount, where the natural account is the value which is in G9, which is G9, and the department, which is this range over here, is equal to the department in H6. So there is the formula, and there is the result. And as you can see, I've got this all over this, and for each department I have the sum according to the natural account throughout this, and I can do this whole analysis, and I can get departmental totals across the bottom, and of course down the side to get natural account totals. So there's a matrix that you can use Sumifs to illustrate Sumifs. Let's get back to our PowerPoint slide and just tell you that, well, that is all for now, folks.